It's part 2 of Day 9 Daily number 490, where we learned to be a better gamer. In part 1, we learned this intro phase to mech, and also heard that I will be on Meta Dating, the show about playing romantic video games, where I'll be doing it with 3 of my dear buddies. I guess 2, because I'm one of the 3. I'll be posting a link to that on my Twitter once the Google Hangout begins. Excellent. But in part number 1, we learned this intro phase to mech. Yeah, how to do it, what the use of Heli and Banshee was. So let's just go ahead and hop into the second half of things, where we're going to see how Supernova is going to play this off. It's pretty easy to execute at this game because you'll be in one of 2 situations. One is that Zerg will be playing fairly defensively, which you'll note, Zerg doesn't really have that many drones. He's kind of going for his layer tech, but hasn't really got it up and running. But yeah, Zerg will be, in one situation, trying to macro up. The other situation is where he tries to attack you early on, and we're going to see that in part 2. In other words, don't sweat it if you're still wondering what to do against an early attack. You'll note that, interestingly, Supernova will build his missile turrets. He's getting a little bit of information about the Mutalisk thanks to the Banshee. His unit loss count is starting to climb a bit. We're not going to go ape shit with turret production, but do note 2 factories with Tech Lab, 1 with reactor. The reactor factory sort of cuts for a little bit while we get all this stuff up. It will build some, but most significantly, we still have our factory up. Or excuse me, we still have our starport with the Tech Lab add-on up. We very much so would like to continue to produce Banshees. These Thors generally pop out a smidge late, but that's fine. You just repair and then they pop out and just annihilate the Mutalisks. What you'll feel with this build is that you will glob up in excess of minerals. Still Thors at the start, no tanks quite yet. Even though tanks are great against roaches, Thors are good against roaches in small numbers, and hell, we saw Mutalisks. But Thors are the more flexible choice for someone who built a Roach Warren and a Spire at the same time. We can still use our Hellions to do these little checkup things and do this sort of harassment. This sort of harassment works nicely right as he's trying to harass you with Mutalisks, because he won't really have that many. But also note that Supernova is not running all of his Hellions into here. It's just some Hellions. Some Hellions will pull Mutalisks back, most generally. But alright, we just go Thor, Banshee, Hellion, third base. Getting 2-2 ridiculously fast. And Supernova's looking quite good. We do our usual wall-offs and this sort of thing. And many times people will start to wonder, what about the roaches? I don't have tanks to be able to deal with the roaches. This is what our Banshees are for. We have 5 Banshees on the screen right now. And what we're going to see out of Vortex is that he just blasts down the front door with a frick ton of Roach Baneling. And again, notice, we're slowly killing off a lot of workers, and this is good. I'll just note the logic behind that. We're going to build up an excess of minerals, so it's totally reasonable to sacrifice some Hellions, to sacrifice some of our minerals to kill off his drones. And we'll also be building quite an excess of orbital commands and command centers. So in true defensive fashion, we're actually just going to sit and chill for a little while. He's going to be floating in with all this stuff. We only just now started tank production. Look at how late the tank production is. That's fine. That's absolutely A-okay. Because despite all the damage we're going to take from our Thors, the Roaches will be roasted by this high Banshee count. Thors will do decent against Roaches. You can repair your Thors. Nothing non-intuitive about that. But nifty. And as we step out of this battle, we notice how stupidly far ahead Supernova is after that. I mean, just in the Units Lost tab. Oh, damn! Yes, yeah. If you have enough focus, take 2 to 4 Hellions and go harass during that battle. If not, sit on your ass and just build stuff up. The Hellions, or excuse me, the Banshees kind of serve as your ability to be aggressive in the mid-game. Again, we send 4 Hellions out. We have more Hellions back home. We're not going to be sending all of them out. We want to be conserving and space controlling as much as possible. Cool stuff. So all you do with the rest of your excess minerals is build up extra orbital commands. Don't go too crazy on them. It is good to build some Hellions in your force. But look at this slow passiveness from Supernova. I'm going to be speeding through this really fast. Speed, 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 speed. For every big attack he makes, you can pretty much bump an extra minute onto his hive tech from 17 to 18 to 19 to 20 and that sort of thing. General good numbers, so, you know, with the level of attacks we've been seeing out of Vortex, I would expect his to be 2 minutes late, so we pop it out at 19, which nicely lines up. By the way, I say that and it sounds kind of full of shit, but this is just a good rule. For every huge ass attack he does, just add a minute to 17. Sometimes you can add up to 2 minutes if it's a really, really big attack. But if he does no attacking, then it could be as early as 15. It's not like 17 is the base mark, but this is kind of how the timing works. So cool, we sit here and chill. Sit here and chill. We don't need to attack. We don't need to do any of that. But if we so desire, we will use our Hellions and our Banshees. See how easy this is, fundamentally? Supernova's sending some Hellions up here. I don't think you need to send quite so many Hellions, but considering he has 15, sending half is totally great. Well, look, we do more stuff with the Banshees. Now, I want to note something that might look horrific. This is going to look like the worst thing ever. We're still running our Hellions around, roasting all sorts of stuff. But we get